Great. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to one more webinar by Mumbai User Group. We have been doing this webinar and all these community activities from now very long time. I think like almost from 6 years, and lot of people have conducted webinars here. Shiv sir, myself, Pradeep, and a lot of other people. And this is the first time we have Dhananjay with us. Dhananjay is one of the best community guy I know. He do a lot of community activities from seminar to webinars, from writing books and lot of things. I hope you all enjoy today's session. Dhananjay, I'll pass on mic to you. You can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Sukesh. To start with, thank you so much, Sukesh. Thank you so much, C. Prasad sir. Thank you so much, everyone from Mumbai User Group for giving me this opportunity to share my learning. I know Mumbai User Group for a long time, and I'm aware of the amount of work Mumbai User Group has been doing, not only in Angular, but across the technology spectrum. And that is very respectful and very admirable. And I get inspired by that. So thank you so much for thinking about me and giving me a chance to talk to your community today. And I suppose I have 60 minutes, 60 to 70 minutes today, right?
Yes, we have around 1 hour.
1 hour, okay.
Yep.
So, all right. So good evening, everyone. Everyone who is here to learn dependency injection and services in Angular. I assume that you already have little bit idea about Angular and little bit idea about dependency injection and all that. So today we'll try to follow very step-by-step approach to understand some of very important yet complex concepts of dependency injection services. And anytime after, whenever I complete one topic, I will take a logical break. We go to chat and take some questions and then move on. So today we are going to focus on DI and services in Angular. Roughly our agenda is what you see on your screen, that we would start with various providing options, then Singleton, then Shakeable service, providing options, provider array, then various provider array options, and services in lazy loaded models. So the sequence what we are going to follow today, we'll follow a step that bullet point 1, then we would follow bullet point 2, then we would go to bullet point, the last bullet point, because that is very important, lazy loaded modules. And if time permits after that, then we would come back again and see exploring various providers. So that is what we are going to follow today. I'm very sure that all of us must have heard about dependency injection, this word. Does not matter on which technology we have been working on, because this is a very popular design pattern or architecture pattern. So I would not go into the theory part or detail of what is dependency injection, what is inversion of control. Here I assume that you already know that, and if you do not know that, you can go back and watch some of C. Prasad sir videos, some of Sukesh articles and all, or other articles from the internet to understand what is this. But if I roughly put it, what is dependency injection or what is inversion of control? So let us say if I need an object of C. Prasad sir, so let us say ngIndia needs an object of MEUZ. To run ngIndia, it needs an object of Mumbai User Group. Now, what is the choice ngIndia has? In ngIndia constructor, I would go and do MEUZ m equal to new MEUZ. So whenever a new event of ngIndia is happening, it needs an object of MEUZ. And here what ngIndia is doing, rather than focusing on executing its events, it is actually getting involved in creating object of MEUZ. Now it may happen that ngIndia is not very much aware about MEUZ, how MEUZ works, what are the ways to create MEUZ object and all that, but it just needs that object to function. So in that case, if ngIndia starts creating object of MEUZ, then that is not good for three reasons. Reason number one is it is very tightly coupled. Then ngIndia and MUZ can never be separated. If MUZ, that object of MUZ wants to work with, let us say, ngconf, it cannot go because it is inside ngIndia. Second is that ngIndia is focusing on creating object of MUZ. By any reason, if it is not able to create that, ngIndia would also not happen, which is again not you don't want that. So these are the problems if the observer, if the person who needs an object is creating that object. So what is the option? So the option is that ngIndia knows that there is someone called C. Prasad Koirala. He knows MUZ. He knows MUZ in and out. He knows how to create object of MUZ. So what ngIndia will do, it would request C. Prasad Koirala that, hey, can you give me, I have a dependency on MUZ, can you give me one object of that? So here C. Prasad Koirala is called DI container, and the job of C. Prasad Koirala is only to create object and provide it to ngIndia or anyone who needs object of MUZ. So this is roughly you can put in your mind, but of course, 2 minutes definition cannot do justice to such a big topic and such an important topic. But I hope I am able to connect some dots to the real-time example. So this is dependencies and inversion of control. Now the person who come up with the idea of inversion of control, he's called father of design patterns, Martin Fowler, and he says that saying an application is special because it supports dependency injection is like saying a car is special because it supports wheel. So dependency injection is that important for an application, what Martin Fowler means here. And keeping that in mind, what Angular team has done, by default, by design, dependency injection. So for example, if you are working on ASP.NET MVC or ASP.NET or WPF, you need an external library to work with dependency injection. But if you are working with .NET Core or if you are working with Angular, they are the latest framework to create applications, and they understand the importance of dependency injection. So by design, they support dependency injection. So for example, in Angular, you do not need to do anything to work with dependency injection. It is in it. You just need to follow certain syntax. All right, now I'm going to use two words today to explain you something. One is called tree shaking, tree shakeable service, tree shakeable service. I take a lot of interviews of Angular folks, like for my clients, and I see that when I talk to candidates, they come up with this is a tree shakeable service, this is a singleton service. They don't know exactly what tree shaking is, and they just somewhere they have read it and they keep saying it, tree shaking and singleton. Today, they would really understand through code what exactly this tree shaking means. So I'm going to use this word a lot, and tree shaking is something not only particular to Angular. This is a software engineering term, and what tree shaking says that let us say you have 50 JavaScript file in your application. And so while building that, you created 50 JavaScript files. Now, maybe when you are creating final build of the application, when you are creating final output bundle of the application, out of 54 are not used anywhere. You just created that, but you are not using it. So what tree shaking says that if something which is not used should not be the part of the final bundle, should not be the part of the final output. That is called tree shaking. So we are going to use this word a lot. Another word what I would use is singleton services. And all of you know singleton means an object, singleton service, singleton class means you are going to create only one object of that class. That is called singleton class. And again, in Angular, we use this term singleton service a lot. And we try to understand, is it exactly really singleton service or is something beyond that? So we'll understand these two terms. If you are new to Angular, these are the steps to work with Angular. To create a service, you can create a service using Angular CLI command. Then you have to provide the service, then you have to inject the service, and then you have to use the service. Today, 80% of times or 90% of times, we would focus on step two, providing the service. This is something which is the key of dependency injection inside Angular. Creating a service is easy, using a service is easy, everyone knows that. And then injecting the service, you little bit touch that also. So you create a service, you provide a service, you inject the service, and you use the service. Now, as I said, that providing a service is very important out of all these four steps. So what Angular has done, it has given us two options to provide a service. You can provide a service either inside provider array, and if you don't understand right now what is providers array, don't worry about that. I would come to that in a bit. Or you can provide a service using the provide in option. Now, this providing options became part of Angular only from Angular 6 onwards. It was not there before Angular 6. So there are two ways a service can be provided, either through providers array or through providing options. And we would cover both of them. Our main we are going to do these only today. All right, so there are four providing options. You can, if you are using provide in option to provide a service, there are four different ways you can do that. And today we would focus on root and in. And these two are only important, a lot important. If you are using, yeah, one last thing, that root became part of Angular in version 6. But these three, any module and platform, became part of Angular in version 9. And if you are using providers array to provide a service, then these are the four options: use class, use existing, use factory, and use value. And this is available in Angular from very first day. All right, so these are the steps you create a service. You create a service using ngS, ngGS, and your service name. Then a step you provide the service. You might have come across this code, providers array. Here we are providing the service using providers array, and where we are passing app service and all that. We would cover that in a bit. And then inject the service. You might have seen that in Angular component, and then you use the service by calling that service. All right, so this create a service, provide the service, inject the service, and inject the service and use the service. All right, so enough of PPT, enough of talking. Now only code we are going to do, and let's start. So can you see my screen? So guess
Yes, we can. Yes, it is. We can see.
I just created a simple Angular application. In that Angular application, using Angular CLI commands, I added two components, child component and child2 component. Okay, and then I added one service also, log service. And right now you see that the service is empty. There's nothing in it. And inside app component HTML, I'm using these two app child1 and app child2. Okay, so as of now, when I run this app, it's a very blank app, and you see that din service demo, child1 works, child2 works. We're going to build on top of this, and please be with me. It's really what I'm going to, you might have heard these terms, but what I'm going to teach you, you very rarely find on internet, on those YouTube videos. So be with me step by step. These terms you might have come across, but today you see them in the action. And you'd never forget that. That's my promise. So please be on screen with me. All right. So here you see that what I have done, I have created a service, right? So when you on the command prompt, when you do ngS log, when you do this, what Angular does, it scaffolds this code for you, right? This code is scaffolded for you. All right. Now, as we talked, there are two ways a service can be provided. A service can be provided using providing option or using the providers array. We would come to providers array in a bit. Now, here you see that when you create a service using Angular CLI, by default, it sets this value to, provide in. It says this providing option to root. All right, so that value is set to root. All right. What does it mean? What is the meaning of that? So when I talk to people, whether to my client, engineers, or my students, or people I'm interviewing, they came up with this one line. It's a singleton service. It's a singleton service. It's a singleton service. It's a singleton service. Everyone is a singleton service. It's a singleton service. It's a singleton service. And does it really a singleton service? That's what we are going to learn in next 5 minutes. All right, my friend. So to make you understand what I'm going to do here in the log service, I'm going to create a variable called a static variable, and let's say count, and by default that is 0. Now static count, static means all the objects of this log service would share that variable static count. And here I'm saying in the constructor log service dot count is equal to log service dot count plus 1. All right. So what I'm doing, and then here in the console, here I'll say console.log objects object, and here just let's I will just say log service dot count. All right. Now, so you understand what I'm trying to do here. You know that if Angular creates 10 objects of this service, then 10 times this constructor would be called. So we would have 10 times that console.log printed. If Angular creates this only one time, then only one time this constructor would be called. So if this log service is really a singleton service, then we should get only once this console.log. That's what our understanding is. And I have seen people do this mistake, singleton, singleton, singleton. No, you just see that. All right, so next what I'm going to do, my friend, here, I'll also add one function, say hello, and it's pretty simple, just returning hello name. So here you created a service, step 1. You are providing that service, done. Step 2 is done. Now you need to inject that service. So to inject that service, what would you do? You would go to, let's go to those two components and do that. So here what I'm going to do in, let me go to child2 component in the TS, child2 TS, and here I'm saying, all right, so here in line number 12, I'm injecting that service. Now, what happens here, I'll come to that object and singleton thing in a bit, but what happens here, please understand how Angular works. So Angular compiles, after Angular 9 especially, Angular compiles it component by component in the IDE. So what Angular will do, that when Angular will try to compile this component, child2, Angular would see that, hey, there's something, a service is injected here. All right, so let us say this class is ngIndia. Now this class is this is ngIndia, and here by this syntax it is saying that, hey, to work I need muz object. So now this, what you see, this log service, many people get confused that this log service is actually name of the class which we created here. Many people get confused that. No, my friend, it is not name of the class, service class. It is the name of your injector token. This is a token name. Keep that in mind. So here we injected that. Now what Angular would do, Angular would go and find the providers for this injector token. Angular would go and find a provider of this injector token. And here Angular would find providing equal to root. And then there is a certain meaning of this providing equal to root. And on basis of that, Angular would create object and pass it on. And then you can use that object where you are using it here. All right. So always keep that in mind. So let us say that if right now, if we go and run this, what I mean by that, let's say that here and go to child2 component.html and let's say message, and then let's do same for Sukesh, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay. Yeah. So let us do same for child one component as well. And what I'm trying to show you first, let's see that. Okay. So you see that here we are just using that. Everything looks good. And here is child one. And when we run this application now, we should get hello child one and hello child two. Now understand that what is happening here, that Angular, first when Angular is trying to compile this, Angular first reads this injection. This is step 3 if you go to that PPT. And after this, what Angular does, Angular tries to find its provider. And here Angular is able to find a provider in log service.ts, and it is, and there's a meaning, there's a certain meaning of this providing equal to root, and on basis of that it is working. Let us do one thing. Let us go and delete this line as of. See, I just removed that providing equal to root, and now when I go and run this, here, now Angular complains about it, and it says that, hey, there's no provider for log service. If I again take example of ngIndia and Mumbai user group, here ngIndia is saying that, hey, I need object of MUZ. ngIndia is saying here, and ngIndia is requesting Prasad sir that, hey, can you give me object of MUZ? But Prasad sir is saying that, hey, I don't know, I don't have any provider for that. I don't know whether I need to create a new object, whether I need to give you existing object, whether I should create object after once you, all this information, right? I don't know that because I am unable to find provider for that service. So it's the provider which actually determines that whether Angular would create new object or use existing object or other kind of configurations. So since right now for this service there is no provider, Angular complains to you about that. Angular is complaining about that. All right, so I hope you are able to understand that. So here I'm passing now provider and we should be fine. All right. Okay, so there is fine. Now here you focus that it is saying one object one. What does it mean? That there is only one object got created and that object is being used among child one component and child two component. What does it mean? That, okay, our learning, which all of us popularly on 90% articles on internet we learn that providing equal to root is a singleton service. All right, it looks like it's a singleton service because there's only one object got created, even if I'm using it in two places, in the child one and child two. Okay, fine, perfect. Now, if you are appearing for the job interview or client interview, they may confuse you. What they would do, they would go here and say providers log service. Now see what I'm doing. I'm providing this service twice. Once I'm providing it here, providing equal to root, and once again I'm providing it into the providers array of component. And now if you go and look at the output, my friend, you see that two objects got created. Angular has created two objects, one for whole application and one for child one component and all the children of child one component. So please never say that blankly and in a gross manner that provide in equal to root is singleton service. You can say, no one can say that. Your answer should be by default be singleton service, but if the same service is again provided somewhere else in the providers array or by any other way, Angular is going to create more objects for that. So if log service is passed in four providers array, there'll be four objects. Doesn't matter whether you have root here or not, or you don't have root here. So this was my teaching one. This was the first thing I wanted to teach you when I started this slide, and I told you that this singleton service, this myth we have to break today. No, providing equal to root is not singleton. By default, maybe it's a singleton, but again, if I provide it somewhere, Angular is going to create new object for that. So here I take a 30-second break and give you time to summarize and note down what we have covered about singleton service. And then we would move to the tree shakeable service. All right then. Now let's go and understand what is pre-shakeable service. Because again, I see people use that term a lot. Because we go on internet, search popular Anglo interview question, and then we just use the term, and we do that. And that is true for client interview here. But let's go one step beyond here. What I'm going to do here, I'm saying console.log I am used inside application. Okay. So see what I have done here. In the log service, I just put one console.log I am used inside application. All right. And from the child one component, as of now, I'll remove this because you understood this concept already. So when I go and run this application, one object being created, I'm using inside the application. They are getting hello child one, hello child two. Perfectly fine. Okay. Now, what if I take this service and remove this from this providing equal to root from here, and I would go to this app module.ts, and in the app module, this is the main module of my application, and here I would say log service. So what I'm doing, I'm now not using providing equal to root, but I'm using providers array of the main module. Main module means now this service should be available everywhere, Singleton, if I'm not re-providing it. Okay, so here, and we'll go here and run it again. Everything is working as expected, like it was working for providing equal to root. I'm using inside application object one. Now question is, then what is the difference between if I provide service in the modules providers array, main modules providers array, or if I use providing equal to root? What is the difference between these two? To understand that difference, let's see that. What I'm going to do, we are using the services here, but what I'm going to do as of now, I'm commenting these lines, means we are not using service. We created a service, but we are not using it. You see that I commented it in child 2 and child 1, both places. So if I go here and run this application, since we are not using the service, of course, we are not getting output on the top, but please focus in the console of the browser. Since we are not using the service, Angular has not created the object. That's why you are not getting object one. But we are getting this message, I am used inside the application. What does it mean? Just take a step back and understand that. It means that even though log service is not used anywhere in the application, and it is not used, that's why Angular has not created any object of that. We understood that. So even though log service is not used anywhere in the application, it is still part of the final output of the application. It is still part of the final output bundle. And that's the reason we are getting this message, I am used inside the application. And if you look at here, this message is actually right here in the log service, right? That's why we are getting this message. What does it say is that if you use module providers array, here we are using it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove it from here, and I'll go to the log service, and now I'll use the earlier one. I'll say providing equal to root. Okay, now I'm using providing equal to root. Everything is exactly the same. And now let's go back and look at here. So of course we would not get any output and all, but you see that is also gone. That message I am using inside the application. So the message here to you is that if you use providing equal to root, then that service is a tree shakeable service. If it is not used, it would not be the part of the final output. But if you pass it in the providers array of main module, even if you are not using it, Angular is going to make it as a part of the final output bundle. So when someone is asking you that, hey, what is the difference between providing equal to root and providers array? Now you know the difference. If you're not able to tell them in the words, just tell them that, hey, just give me and code for you and I will show you. And just put one line in the service and show them. So I hope now this tree shaking, what is tree shaking would never leave your mind, and you understand what is the difference between when you pass in the providers array and when you use providing equal to root. All right. So we are able to so far understand these two words, Singleton and free Shakeable service. All right, then. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump and show you something about lazy loaded modules and services, how they work, what is exactly that. Okay. And then if time permits, we would come back and cover other topics purely on Sipshare and Sukesh, that how much time they give to us. All right, so let's start with first creating lazy loaded models. Now, if you do not understand lazy loaded models, I'm sure most of you understand that, but if you do not understand lazy loaded models, so let us say if your application has 50 models, some of those modules you don't need in the starting of your application. For example, there's a login button on the top. When you click on that button, then only you want that login module to be downloaded, such that your application startup time is good and the initial bundle of your application is less. So you'd load that login module as a lazily you'd load that. So that's the concept of lazy loaded module. So to start with, let's first start creating lazy loaded module and then see that how services works in that. Okay, and be with me. It's going to be a lot of code, my friend. And let me just all right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add few lazy loaded models, and for that there's Angular CLI command to do that. We are here. Okay, so the first we would add ng generate module. So we are adding a customer module, lazily loaded. This is a CLI command to add a lazy loaded module. And once that is added, let's add one more module called, orders. So here we are, and modules orders. So here we added two modules. Okay, and let's say ng serve, let it be. And what I'm going to do in the app component, HTML. And let's add three buttons, one for the customers. So when we click on customers, customer module would be loaded. When we click on orders module would be loaded, and home. And this is router outlet, and this app child is there. So let it be. Always there. So let it be. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, let us reconfigure a little bit the routing module. So here you see that when you use that command, Angular adds this lazy loaded module in this way, and this is the syntax for that import, and this import is again ES6 syntax to import a module, and so import and export. So now this import allows you to lazily load a module, and it returns a promise, and that's what being used here, then and load that module. All right, so you don't have to write this code. This code got generated by when I use that Angular CLI command. Let me just add one more path for home module. So here we would say, okay, and then here we can say like this. All right, so just we added one more path for the, if none of these customer orders meet, it will meet this. Okay, if this is done, let's go and see how it works. So here we are, our application is compiled successfully. Okay, so we are here, customer, home, and all. Where's that? So first let me show you that how lazy loaded works, and then we would go and work on the services in that. So go to the networks tab, clear everything, and run it again. You see that polyfill JS, runtime JS, vendor.js, etc. got downloaded. Now when I click on customers, so when I'm clicking on customers, then in the bottom you can see that customers module got downloaded. When I click on orders, then in the bottom you can see orders module got downloaded. It means these modules are lazily loaded, and they are getting downloaded only when we need them. So we successfully able to bring two. We are successfully able to bring two lazy loaded models in our application. Great. Now we'll see that how we would work with the services in that context. All right. So first, what we will do, we'll just comment it. So let's see that here, and then we would go to child 2 component and then child 1 component, comment it. So here we are using we are going to use service in the main application and in the lazy loaded models, which you see here. All right, so now what I'm going to do, first let us see that whether we can work with this same log service in lazy loaded module or not. So for that, what I'm going to do here, let's go to the order.component.ts and put it here in the order.component.ts. All right, am I audible? My voice audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll just take it from here and go to the order.component.ts and put it here. So message string log service from log service, say hello, and we'll say that from order. Okay, and then same code we can take from here, and then we can go to the customer component.ts and put it here, and we can say customers, and then take this message and all right, and then let's do the same for orders.component.html. Okay, so now what I'm trying to actually show you, I'm going in a very step-by-step manner, my friend, that you see that when I click on customer, I'm getting hello customers. When I'm clicking on orders, I'm getting hello orders. And then of course, this hello child 1 and hello child 2 working. So what the messaging I'm trying to give you is, that in normal scenario, a service should work exactly the same way it working for normal modules or normal component in lazy loaded module as well. So here this log service, we are using it in customer module, which is lazily loaded. We are using it in orders module, which is lazily loaded, and everything is working fine. And so far so good, nothing problem in that. The problem arises, which we are going to now, I'm going to show you that when exactly problem arises. It's not a problem actually, it's a requirement that how we would solve that requirement. Okay. So the requirement is, let us say that these are the modules, and in all these modules you want to make an API call. So for the main module, like your main module, you have a different API URL and different token. And for this lazy loaded modules, you have different API URL, different token. And how do you achieve that? So here we'll go in a very step-by-step manner, and it will take not more than 20 minutes. And I'm sure that it will do justice with your time. Okay, and be with me. At the end, you would actually come to see that what is exactly what we are trying to achieve. All right, so what I'm going to do, my friend, here I am in my application. I'll go and add a file called api-config.ts. And this api-config.ts has nothing but an interface which has an endpoint and token. Our whole purpose is for different modules, it will be different endpoint and token that we got to achieve. And we are building that step by step. So first we created a token. Now what happens that there is something called use value. Okay. So when you use class, by default you use that in providers array, then your class name actually becomes token name. All right, so that log service is representing the class also, representing the token also. But in case use value, you don't have a class, you are going to use a value. So you have to create a token. You have to create an injector token yourself. And creating that injector token is super simple. So next, let us go and create that injector token. And for that, we would add one more file. And here we'll say API config value.ts. And in that file, actually, we are creating that injector token. And here we would say import injector token from Angular core, API config from API config. And here API config value equal to new injector token. And this injector token is actually going to represent the value of type API config. And here your description, API token. You can pass any description here. So now whenever we use this API config value as a token, we need to pass value of API config. I repeat, whenever now we use this API config value, we got to pass this value for API config type, because interface is a type. All right. So far so good. Now let's go ahead and try to use it in our service itself. Because let us say in the log service, you want to make an API call and you want different endpoint and token. So you would inject that. So here you would say that, hey, inject API config value in this service. And now you know API config is the name of the token. All right. And then private config. And you injected that. And here you would say, we are just going to put one more method, which you return the value of API config. So here we are saying, whenever we call get value, it will return this dot config. Okay. So we created a token. That token is going to accept endpoint and token value, and we are just returning that from the log service. We have done nothing complex so far. Pretty simple. Now quickly, let us go ahead and use it. So to use it, what you need to do, let's go to app-module.ts, and here you would say export const config value API config, and the value is, let us say, home.com, and token is 12345. All right. Right now we are starting with passing the token for the whole application, and then we'll break later. Now you remember that it is a use value, so you cannot use providing option. You have to pass it into the providers array. And here in the providers array, what would you do? You would say so what we are doing, what we are saying here, that hey, whenever this API config value token is there, please use the value config value. So whenever this API config value is used, use this config value. So we are using it here in the log service.ts. So this dot config would actually return this value. All right. All right. So this is done. Now let's use it in the application, in the components. And so to use it in a component, it's pretty simple. I'll just copy paste few codes. So let's go to child1 component.ts. And here we'll say API value any. And then here we can say this dot API value equal to this dot log service dot get value. All right. And then we can display that in the child component HTML like this. For child2, let us skip that. Let's go to the order component, customer component, and we will do the same thing. We will display that, and same, let's go to the order component HTML, and we will display the same thing. And also what we need to do is from the child1 component.ts, we need to take this gentleman API value any, go to customer component, pass it here, and go to the order component and create this variable, and just make a call to that. How we are making call here, this dot API value. So go to customer component.ts, and same we would do for the order component.ts. All right, now when you, let's say, and run this application. So we just created, I'm summarizing what we have done. We just created one value or token value right here in the app module.ts, and we are just using it through the service. So when you run this application right now, okay, so you see that hello child one endpoint home.com 12345, perfect. You clicked on customers, hello customer endpoint home.com 12345. Click on order, hello order endpoint home.com 12345, and just one object being created in the bottom. You can see that. All right, but our requirement is that for order, we want order.com endpoint and different token. For customers, we want customers.com endpoint and different token. How do you achieve that? So I know most of you might be thinking that, hey, can you go and pass this to the modules of those components? All right, let me go and do that. So I'll go here in the order module and say API config, and here I'd call it, let's say, order.com, and let's say it is 9999. Perfect. And then same, you would say that, how about you go and pass the same in the customers? So here I am, customers module. And then I would say customer.com, and let's say this is 77777. And you would say, okay, you have created that. Now go ahead and provide that also, like how you have done here. So same thing I need to do. I'd go here and provide it. So go to customer module, and here we can say providers, and same, we'll go to the order models and provide it here. All right. And last but not least, what I would do, just to explain you, in the log service, I'd get rid of this providing equal to root as of now. And in the app module.ts, I will pass that log service. All right. All right. So let's see how it works. So we are here. Right now we are providing it in different modules. Hello child one home.com, customers, hello customers home.com, orders, hello order home.com. We are not getting different value, and still one object is used. Why it is happening? Because we are providing this log service at only one place in the main module. So even if we are injecting different values from here for the API config, this module is still using the same object which is being created, this object one. So when that object was created first time, actually this value was passed from the app module.ts. You agree this value was passed? And that's the reason, even if we are repassing it here, it is not picking it up and it is using the same value. So what we need to do, we need to create different objects for different modules. And how we can do that? You remember in the beginning, I told you to create more objects, you have to pass it in the providers array. So we would say that here, for the main module providers array, fine. Create it for the log service, for the customer module as well, and create it for the this order modules as well. So now when we are here and running this, or I see one object created, home. Now when you click on customers, I'm getting customer.com 77, and one more object got created. So since we are reproviding it, a new object got created, and the time of new object got created, whatever is the value we were injecting in that constructor. So when the second time that object got created, due to that module, it again executed this code and passed this value config, which we were passing it from here. All right. So you are getting different value, orders, customer.com, and for the orders, order.com 999, the third object got created. So this is the way you can pass different values to different modules. And it looks good, no problem about it, and it is perfectly fine. But with one problem, and again, let's go back to the first story of our application. First story of our application. was, my friend, that you remember that I told you that if anywhere this service is part of this provider's array, if anywhere this service is part of this provider's array, if anywhere this service is part of this provider's array, I said it 3 times, this service is not a tree shakeable service. So if it is not used, Angular is still going to make it part of the application. So what would we do? We would remove it from the provider's array, right, to make it tree shakeable. Okay. So I remove it from the main module. I remove it from the this module, orders customer modules, and I would go ahead and remove it from the order module, because our manager wants, our customer wants that, hey, I want tree shakeable service and I want different values. That's our requirement. And we cannot help that. Now, if I go here and run it, say, of course, I would get error. And why I'm getting error? Because it would say that, hey, you have not provided the log service, because I deleted it from all the providers array. So you would say that, hey, if you want to make it tree shakeable, go back, Dhananjay, to log service, go here and say providing is equal to root, because we started our learning from here. This is a tree shakeable service. All right, all right, all right. We are back here. Object, one object got created. I'm clicking on customers. It's only creating one object. I'm creating on orders. It is creating only one object. Hence, I'm not getting different values. Because by default, root is a singleton service. Then what should I do? And here, my friend, comes other providing option called any. So if you pass it any, it will create different objects for different lazy loaded modules, and the service would be tree shakeable as well. So here I am, customers.com, new object got created, orders.com, new object got created, you are getting different value. So this is what any providing option is. And I try to create this storyline for you without giving you definition. And this is the closure of lazy loaded module. Now you would never understand. If I never forget. Now if I ask you a question, if I'm taking your interview and ask you a question that, hey, let me pick a name from the list. So let us say I'm asking to Tushar. I'm saying that, hey, Tushar, in your application, there are 10 lazy loaded modules. There are 6 eagerly loaded modules. So here I'm typing for you, Tushar. And let me see whether you are able to get it or not. There are 10 lazy loaded modules. There are 5 eager module, means normal modules, normal feature modules, and 1 main module. And the service is used in all 16 modules, and I'm using any. How many objects should Angular create? What would be your answer? If you really understood it, you know for 10 lazy loaded modules, 10, and for everything, it would create just 1 object. So total, it will create 11 objects for us if we are using any and not providing anywhere else. I hope now you understand what I mean here. You can rewatch the recording. So this is about lazy loaded modules and any and tree shakeable service and singleton service and all that. So Sukesh, I have come to a closure. Should I take next demo or should we take questions from the audience? What do you suggest?
It's your call. Whatever you feel good, no problem.
I mean, what audience wants? Are they tired or? There's a lot of code, so.
It's your call. Means if you want, you can ask the questions, no problem. You can ask them like what they want.
So should we go for some next demo again that will take 10-15 minutes, or you want to just ask questions and whatever I, Sukesh and Sipsar will try to answer you those questions? What you want?
Everyone can reply in chat. So please.
Yeah, I'm just reading that. Deepesh, Pradeep is saying yes, means next demo. Ravinder is saying next demo. Digambar is saying next demo. Smitesh is saying next demo. Misraji is saying next demo. Okay, let's do the next demo then. All right, then. See, democracy works everywhere, only not it is working in Sushant Singh Rajput death. They're not giving it to CBI. Anyway, so that was just a joke. No, don't take it, consider it political thing. It was just a joke. So let's do that. Now what I'm going to show you something very important. Most of you might have done that, but I hope I do justice with that demo. Okay. And that has nothing to do with lazy loaded models or anything. That is entirely different demo. Okay, just give me a moment. All right. So what I'm going to do, let's say, and please be with me, everyone. So let me close this. Okay. And in the app component HTML, what I'm doing, I'm putting one button, let's say, and on this button, I'm saying that click, and let's say sort. So this button actually would sort data for us. All right. And here we are saying, Sukesh, am I audible and everything is fine?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Sukesh. So here I'm putting a sort data function. Now I'll go to the app component.ts, and right here, what I'm saying that sort data, this.data.sort, and data value is undefined. What does it mean? That definitely it is going to throw us error because we cannot apply sort on undefined. So right now, if we go and run this, we have this sort data. When we run this, Angular is giving us error that, hey, cannot read properties sort of undefined. That was expected. Now, the error what you get here is the default error of Angular. So in Angular, there is a class called error class. There's a service, there's a class called error class, or you can consider that as a, not exactly service, but just to understand in this context, you can think of it as a service. So there's an error class, and whenever an error happens in your application, that class gets into the action and it gives you the error, which you are getting here. Now, our requirement is that we want to globally handle error in our application depending on our project. We want that, hey, no, if there is an error, it should not throw error like this. It should log to the server. It should have some happy flow. It should show them some different information. You understand it, right? Our requirement is not to rely on the default error mechanism. We want to rely on our own project specific error mechanism. That's our requirement. That is our question. What should we do? Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, let us go to our application. And in our application, let's add one more class. And let's call that as global error handler.service.ts. Okay, so I added a class called global error handler.service. And here we can say export class global error handler, and we are going to make this as a inject table. All right, so this is the class we have, and we want that this class should handle error in our application. The default error class should not handle. There's a default error handler class. So what we'll do, we'll say that, hey, implements error handler. So this is a default error handler. We are we have taken that. We are going to implement that, and it has something called handle error, which takes a error. So we are just implementing that and overriding that, and we are going to handle our errors. So here, as of now, we can say console.log. I will handle myself. Okay. Of course, you can from here log to the server. You can do whatever you want because this is just a function. So here we created a class, and we want that this global error handler class should handle the error of my application, this error handler class should not handle. Now what should we do? Because by default, when we go and run this, Angular is sort data and it is going to, that default error handler is into the action. So here there is something called in Angular called use class comes to the action. Remember I told you that there are in the providers array, there are 4 options: use class, use existing, use value, and use factory. Use value you have already seen. Here now this use class comes to the action. And here it would clarify a lot for you. So let's go to the app.appmodule.ts. And here what we would say that, hey, Angular. Okay, so here we'll say that, hey, Angular, whenever you see a token called error handler, please use the class global error handler. So you remember that I told you this is the name of the token. Now here actually we are telling Angular that whenever you see the token error handler, use the class global error handler. We created this class. So when error would occur, Angular would, this error handler token will actually come into the action to handle that error. But here we reconfigure it and we are saying that, hey, so for example, here it is saying error handler. So this is the default thing. And right now, again, if you go and run this, you are getting the error. So when these two values are same, when the token value and the class you are using the same, you can shortcut it like this, what we were doing like this, log service. So when this provide and use class value is same, you can just pass once and that is the same thing. But here we are saying that whenever error happening, please don't use the default error handler class and use global error handler class, which we created, right? Just we created this here. All right, now when we go and run this and click on sort data, you see that I'll handle myself. You are not getting the error. So here you saw a real-time example of use class and a very popular question that how you can handle global error, how you can globally handle error in application. Of course, there are many libraries like you can install in your application like stacktrace.js and all, which will help you to getting more stack and you can feed that to server and all. But we are not going there. But here I wanted to give you a real-time example of use class, that what is the purpose of use class. Okay, now sometimes so you saw that use class and I hope it is clear to you. Now here there's one more thing called appmodule.ts. So here there's one more thing here, like let us say you are saying that provide. I don't have that. I don't have ABC. I'm just trying to explain you that foo is not there. And when we say use existing, okay, and then let's say we are saying error handler. What does it mean? The line number 31, it says that, hey, whenever you see the token foo, please use the token error handler. So use existing means that, hey, whenever you use, so let's say that I go and say use class here. So now what is happening? This, and let's say this is global error handler. So what is happening that whenever there is an error handler token, Angular would create a global object of global error handler. And whenever there is a foo token, Angular would create object of global error handler. So there will be 2 objects created for global error handler, one for token foo and one for error handler. However, if you want that, hey, don't create new object for foo, use the existing object which is already created for error handler token. You will use existing error. So this is the purpose of use existing. I wanted to show you. Use class you already understood. I gave you example of global error handler. Use class is used in interceptor and everywhere. Use value, you have seen that, and use factory. Let us say you have to, on certain condition, if you have to create an object, you can use factory. Use factory here, you can, let's say, create a function and say if one return new log service or else return new updated log service, and then here you can say var a equal to, and then you can return new updated log service. Why it is giving me error? Oh, it is asking me to pass that config. You remember? Okay. So on basis of that, and here you can come and say, let's say that for this provide, and let's say that is log service, and you say huge factory A. So then what happened for this token? It will go and call that function and return you accordingly. So this is the purpose of use factory. So you now saw use error, use class, use existing, use factory, and use value as well. So this is what all I have for dependency injection and services. Um, One more question you may ask me that, hey, what if I want to use different class, like here to you with a token to use different class, I'm passing in the providers array. But you may have a question, it's a very popular question for interview, that what if I want to use the tree shakeable service, but want to use different class for that? So you can pass use class here as well. All right, so then this is a tree shakeable and using different class as class for that also. All right, so I'm ready to take questions. And before we go ahead and take questions, just one thing, because some of you may want to leave, that I hope it was useful. We covered a lot of things. You can write me email anytime. So my email address is debugmode@outlook.com. That is my email address. My name is Dhananjay Kumar. I am a very close friend of Shiv sir and Sukesh, and Shiv sir is our guru. It is like friend is more than friend. He's a guru. We have all grown up learning his books, his videos, and also thank you Sukesh, thank you Shiv sir for giving me this opportunity. I'm a teacher, engineer. I'm a Microsoft MVP, a Google developer expert. And one thing which I'm very proud of is ngIndia, and I'm talking about that because this is an Angular event, Angular webinar. ngIndia is, I started with Sipsar, and we started that in 2000, we first did it in 2018. So far we have done it 3 times, and with help of all the community, with help of every developers who were part of. Now ngIndia is one of the largest conference in the world, not the largest conference in India. We've got 700 people. Only I guess 3 or 4 conferences in the world which gets more than 700, Angular conference in the world which gets more than 700 people. So that is really very, very I'm proud of with the Chipster, the sketch with everyone. And I'm a independent. I'm trying to set up a company called Geek 97. At the Geek 97, we provide you training, consulting, and all. And last but not least, we do Angular classes. So we have batches, and our next batch is starting on 15th of August, and we just launched that. So if some of you want to be part of that, please. So that's the paid thing. You can be part of that, and you can find detail here. Sukesh, can I put this in the chat window, this URL?
Yes, sure.
So
Yes, please, no problem.
yeah, I don't know how his chat is not opening.
Oh, you are not able to put it?
Yeah, I'm not able to open the chat. Can you just say hi in the chat, then I can. Yeah.
Wait, I'll do it.
So you see that we just completed one batch. There was 25 people in that, and we had certain feedback, and we changed the syllabus for this batch, and now we are calling it Angular Full Stack Certified Full Stack Angular Developer. It is going to be total 20 lectures, 35 to 40 hours, and this is the fee, 8,000 plus 18% GST, and it is worth. So this is how we go day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and it should be daily, either in 9 p.m. evening or 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning. And what we have included here is we really have brought not only the Angular thing. If you go to the Day 10, we are talking about asynchronous JavaScript, where we talk about promises, async and await, models in Node.js. Because when I talk to developers, we see these kind of questions being asked to them in interview or job interview or client interview, or they come across this in their project. So here you see day 10, day 11, day 12, and day 4 days, like out of 20, 4 days are completely Node.js and JavaScript. In fact, 6 days, and then day 14 and day 15 is RxJS. So out of 20 classes, 6 classes are on RxJS and Node.js, because I want to make you a full stack Angular developer where focus on the Angular. And then it has other topics which you can look at here. And I see that people are getting job out of it. We get a lot of LinkedIn and all people tag once completing this. So this is going to start on 15th of August. And please let people know if you think it is worth. And again, it has a fees of 8,000 rupees, but learning should not be denied to anyone. If you do not have money, if you are looking for a job, so you be your best judge. Don't, you understand, be teacher, or Shiv sir, we only depending on our teaching. So if you really want to learn, and if you can't afford 8,000 rupees, please don't shy. Send me an email. I will make sure that you come and learn to that. But please be honest. It's not your shrewdness. It's not your chalaki that, hey, मैंने तो उससे ले लिया 4,000 का discount. We come across this type of thing when we trust people, give them, help them, and they go and say to other people, "Arey, मैंने तो 4,000 में कर लिया." No, that's not your smartness. That's something you should not be proud of. So if you are someone in this class not able to afford 8,000 rupees, but you really need to learn this, so ask two questions to yourself: can I afford 8,000 rupees, and is this course useful for me? Please come to that. Is this course useful to you, but I cannot afford it? And just don't say it is useful for me, because ask yourself. Send me email. We'll try to help you. So thank you so much. And this is my blog, debugmode.net, where you can find this, and Sukesh would share it on the chat as well. And
Yes.
thank you so much. Over to you, Sukesh, and I'm ready to take questions.
Yep. Thank you very much, Dhananjay. It was a very nice session, and I believe like everybody got some benefit from it. And I already shared the link. And if you have any question, anyone, you can ask, or like we can end the session. Otherwise, we are very grateful for your time, Dhananjay. It was like one of the best session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, Sukesh.
I think we can close the session now. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening ahead.